All right, guys, it is officially time. Subversive Beauty is beginning, and I have the lovely and talented and stunning, like one of my favorite makeup artists and influencers, and just like people of all time, Mei Pang. Welcome to the podcast, and I would love to hear a little bit about the gorgeous look you have on today.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me, number one. And number two, it looks like we're doing the exact same color scheme. We didn't plan this
Yeah, we didn't
at
plan this at all,
all.
guys. I just
We
said
were
come in with a cool look, and we'll take it from there.
we have the same color scheme going on. We got a blue little shimmer moment. We have red liner. I love your blush placement. I try to recreate it on my face every single day. I haven't got it just yet, but practice makes perfect.
See, it took me like honestly kind of years to figure it out. Like I loved Lynn Yeager. She has like her little dots on her cheek, and I was like, I want to do something like that, but like make it my own. And then I just like I got to New York and like never stopped. And it's funny that's like I don't like that's become a trademark is like the blush, but like I
It's your
just love it.
signature.
I know I can't like today I was almost not gonna do it because I had like I painted like really intensely and then I was like I kind of just have to and like this is a little tea for anybody who has like one of I know May and I both use the same like toothbrush type of applicator. If you get in and you like do these little dots, it creates the most beautiful like explosion of pigment and it blends so well. So guys, like if you have a little toothbrush at home, try and like spraying some like paint on your face and you never know what it could turn out as.
It's like the perfect like pointillism where you look up close, you can see
Yes.
like the details, but when you go like, 20 feet back, it all just blends into this like seamless gradient. It's
And
stunning.
we're gonna get into that later, but I love the art. I'm an art history minor, so I love the little aside to art. We're gonna get into some questions about your favorite artists later, but I kind of want to start at like the beginning of May. So May is Malaysian, but has been living in Canada. I think the outskirts suburbs of where are the suburbs of where in Canada?
So I lived in downtown Toronto for 7 years. I also went to art university for drawing and
Mm-hmm.
painting. The pandemic hit. I wasn't feeling my 400 square foot apartment anymore. I needed that space. I was working for myself. So I am now around an hour and a half to 2 hours away from downtown Toronto.
Beautiful, and
Farmland,
I'm
baby.
sure your husky enjoys that a lot more.
Oh, he
And what was his
loves.
name or her
His name
name?
is Prince. I got him, or I adopted him when I moved to this area because I
Mm-hmm.
knew that, having a husky in an apartment that's no quality of life there. So I
Yeah.
adopted him when he was 10 and now he's 12. My little
Oh my gosh, and
baby.
he is such a cutie, guys. I feel like you guys are kind of like I love when I see like the Instagram accounts where it's like the dogs that look like your owners. I feel like you guys have like not the same look, but like the same energy, like such like strong, just like presence and like the drama of his white fur. Like it
And
is
his blue
such a good dog.
eyes. I look at him sometimes, I'm like,
Oh
I need to get you
yes.
brown contacts. You're staring at me a little
Ah.
too hard.
It's like the meme of like Miley Cyrus or whatever, where she's just like staring into the
Just a
camera.
lash eye.
Girl, like those dogs. But like I feel like one day you need to do like a prosthetic of your dog or like paint your dog on your face, like something insane.
I know. I get comments like all the time on my Instagram or like TikTok being like, "Oh, you need to go on Glow Up, da 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 da," and I'm like, I prosthetic that special effects episode, I would
Mm-hmm.
flop. Like when people like break out the liquid latex and like the acetone, I'm like, that is a world that I respect highly and cannot do. But
And
never say
that's the
never.
beauty I feel of social media, especially today, is we have such a diverse like array of artists online. Like, I mean, shout out to Saf, who will be on an episode upcoming. She like I've been watching her for a while and like she creates a lot of her prosthetics like on her own and like the amount of work and trial and error that takes. Like I play around with special effects, but I mean that it's a whole science and that's why there are some people who kind of bridge all the gaps of like special effects and just like beauty, but I feel like it takes a whole different art form and a whole different lesson to be able to do like at like a show like Glow Up where you need to kind of be good at everything or you're gonna get booted out. And so much respect to our Glow Up artists. But didn't you judge Germany Glow Up?
I did. I was a guest judge. Incredible, incredible experience, I will say. Like it, to be behind the scenes of like one of the forefronting makeup competitions was really special to me because I'm like, oh, you guys only have this amount of time and that's
Mm-hmm.
it. And I'm like just like seeing it all up close and there's no filters at all. Like the makeup that you see on the television is like what they've actually produced. So their talent is incredibly immense.
Yeah, and I think especially doing it like because we kind of have like that similar to an extent lifestyle where we're putting our makeup, and I think you and I are both pretty alike, and we're not using like heavy filters. Like we want to show it like as up close, like as true to life as possible, but we're also recording on like phones.
Right.
Phones have like, or I don't, do you do your TikToks on camera or on your phone?
I do everything on my phone.
Okay, so it's like I'll be on live sometimes, and people will be like, "Your skin looks perfect. Like, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Guys, like the camera quality is not that good.
And it's
Like,
also your Wi-Fi connection too,
yeah."
right?
And I try and like I always want to like get really close and be like, "Guys, look, I have like texture right here. Like, look at it. Like, I
Right.
promise you, it doesn't look like that in person." Because I remember when I started doing like. I've been doing like real makeup for like 3 years, but like before I would do like concealer and stuff. And I was like, this doesn't look good. Like, it doesn't look like I love Nikki Tutorials, but like it doesn't look like Nikki Tutorials like perfect skin. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like they have whole lighting in front of them. Like they have like the perfect camera, the angle. And I do kind of admire that a little bit, like that type of like kind of like Wizard of Oz type of thing where you have like this like fantasy, but sometimes it is kind of like poisonous for like the youth and people who are getting into makeup where they're like, what? Like, is it because my brushes aren't expensive enough? My products aren't expensive enough? I'm just not good at it. And it's kind of discouraging. But I think that also like drives like a chase for us where I'm always wanting to like make sure my makeup looks like the same in person as it does online. And it's kind of like a fun like thrill of getting like that compliment where they're like, "Oh my god, like your makeup looks amazing in person too." And I think like it's a fun line to kind of cross, but also trying to remain as like authentic and kind of true to your audience as possible. So like, do you ever kind of grapple with that where you feel like you're trying to be like as authentic like visually as possible, but it's like kind of impossible because we don't have these like film cameras in front of us?
No, I completely agree with you. There's a balance and there's so many different techniques. I always say like there's camera ready makeup and then there's everyday makeup,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where for camera, I can slap as much as I want and like my softbox will hold on to me. They'll be like, okay, here
Yes.
you go, little baby. But once you hit that, you know, direct sunlight, that oh my gosh, that hate crime of office fluorescent lighting,
Yes,
no
that school
one,
lighting.
yeah, no one looks good, right? Like
Yeah,
no
and
one,
but nobody's recording in there. So it's like you never see like that type of reality of what your skin's gonna look like. And I remember I saw one of your stories. I think you were testing like a cushion foundation you got from like Korea or something. And I
Mhm.
remember you did like a really close up photo, and I'm like I could see like the texture and I think also we have to kind of reevaluate if it's like because I almost like just didn't say that because I was like, is it kind of like bad to be like I saw your texture? But it's like we have real skin. It's like it's nice to see like what it really looks like because like when I painted today, I knew I was gonna be on like my laptop. I have a ring light in front of me. Like I was throwing on the Krylon TV paint stick, like a layer over it, and it's like you can't because we're on like kind of low quality, we have our lights in front of us, it's kind of it's like fake but not. And but kind of at one point when you're like watching the videos you have to realize like that's just kind of how the internet is. Like I think and by having these conversations we can try our best to kind of distance ourselves from that and make sure like audiences are kind of coming into it knowing that while also
Mhm.
trying to be like hey, like I'm out in direct sunlight and my foundation's creasing right here, like it's breaking up. And
Yeah.
I think like especially with like the way you do your makeup, it's very kind of like heartfelt and not kind of wanting to appeal to like trends, or it's, I think for us it's kind of not about beauty so much, or not beauty but attraction and trying to pull in attraction. And like I just kind of thought of this like off the bat, but like I do you ever like if you're gonna go out in makeup, are you ever thinking like I kind of want to look hot for someone else, but then you're like, but I want to do like fun makeup, because I know last night I almost did that, but I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, I just want to have fun and do my makeup, and it's like I don't need to care what like some random man's gonna think about this.
No, like 100%. Where like I feel like you can relate to this as well, where our version of like hot, sexy makeup
Yes.
is not the traditional, right? Like you probably won't catch me dead in like a champagne cut crease, because for me that's not comfortable. That's not
Yes.
how I feel confident, and that's not, like my core identity isn't in that aesthetic. Some people love it and they look amazing, and like that's what makes them them. But for both of
Mm-hmm.
us, like my version of hot is this. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like smash. And
Yeah.
if like I do struggle sometimes with like feeling accepted,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if people don't come up to me for that reason where I look a little bit scary, chances are I probably don't want them in my life anyways, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
if this is such like a deal breaker to some people,
It's
right?
never gonna work in the first place.
I'm saying I'm so
And I think like I especially because our faces, like I was talking to Laurel Charleston with this yesterday. Yeah, like icon legend.
get her on the
Like
podcast.
yes, yes. We want you, Laurel. Once you're back from Tokyo doing like all of your amazing stuff. But it's like this is our the way like to kind of grow in like New York, or kind of in the outside of social media. Your makeup is your business card. So like I think to myself of like, if I'm gonna go out in a club or something and I'm in a brown smoky eye and I feel sexy for like other people, am I gonna get the same like business opportunities or recognition if I'm not in say like more of a abstract like me look? And
Never thought about it like that.
that
Literal
kind of like
face
shocked
card.
me. Yes, no, I mean, and that's like the funniest way of putting it, but like I feel like our makeup is like our literal face card to jobs, friends, like really strong friendships. And that's the one thing I think we are both lucky in, is that though we may not have as many like partners or friendships or something, because we are like our ideas of beauty are very kind of polar opposite of what's traditional, we develop like these stronger communities around us. And I think like especially with like your fans, because for being such a kind of abstract and conceptual artist, you have a very big community that's all like understanding. Like it's never a shock when you do like the lipstick prints on your face. And I think I was it kind of like always like that, like coming up in social media? Because I know you were on like YouTube first, and then now you're primarily like Shorts and TikTok. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so fun seeing like somebody who's kind of like a pillar for like this like subversive beauty look.
Ooh. So I've always been on Instagram. Like originally my previous life was in corporate. Like I worked
Mm-hmm.
for the government, I worked for tech startups. When I had social media, it was just for like friends and family, just like to update them on my life,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where when I started, that's when I shaved my like all my hair off, and people like already knew I was in the arts. So like the steady to be here where I am now is insanity to me, because
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't the expectation. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna put myself out there. But I'm so lucky where everyone who follows me just kind of gets it. Like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I've set the standard where like this is we're gonna go crazy,
Yeah.
right? We're not gonna hurt anyone. We're not here for shock content. We're just gonna see how far we can push this. And everyone, all age demographics has been so understanding. I remember my best friend slash manager, she told me, she's like, get on TikTok. You need to do it. It's the new thing. And I was, oh, Nico, I didn't want to get cyberbullied by children, right?
Yes.
Like, I'm
Yes.
like, I'm starting a whole new platform. I'm starting with literal, like, at Microsoft, 0 followers in 2020 on TikTok. I was like, I'm going to get clowned. Like, these kids, like, they're so opinionated, right?
And they have no repercussions.
Oh, absolutely not. Nothing. They think that they're untouchable, which I'm like, I miss that part of my life
Yes.
where
Me too.
I had no fear at all. Now I
And
have a little bit of fear.
we could say whatever we wanted and not have the fear of everyone kind of like attacking us. Not saying it is okay to say like anything actually bad, but I'm just saying having an opinion, sometimes like being in this position, we're kind of not lauded the same kind of freedom of an opinion. Like, again, this does not relate, because I want a disclaimer, this does not relate to anything political or anything to do with people's lives, because that is a whole separate issue and there are rights and wrongs within that. But like, not having a following and being a blank profile, it's like you can say whatever you want, you can hate on whatever, and there's really nothing we can do except us kind of understand like this is not for them, basically.
Right. Yeah. And like when I joined TikTok, like everyone was so like again, like so compassionate, so empathetic, like they get it, right? And I'm gonna cough. Excuse me.
No, you're all good.
Sorry.
And I think with that, like it also kind of lends itself to how you show it. And if you, what I found is, because from the beginning when I started recording content, it's really funny to think beforehand, I never really posted on Instagram, I never really posted on TikTok, because I'm such like a kind of perfectionist and I want to be as like picture perfect as possible. And then once I realized, I'm like, that's just like not sustainable, I was like, I just want to get on TikTok. And I saw it obviously as like an avenue for reaching new people, like being able to work bigger jobs and all that. But more so, I wanted to go into it to change like people's views of how they can do their makeup and like essentially like how we view beauty. And I think it's the intent where that's where you will get hate, because I still to this day, even with as crazy of looks I do, I take it so seriously and I show them like this is real. Like I'm not doing this for clickbait. I'm not doing this to get clicks. Like this is genuinely who I am, and people take me very seriously for it. But it's like when you go on live or something, that's when you kind of get that influx of people who are like, what are you doing? Like, why? Like to this day, like if I go on TikTok live, it's like, are you a clown? Are you trying to clout chase? And it's because like they don't see like, this is honestly like who we are. Like we love this like so much. Like this is integral to who we are as people. And I think that's like, I think we can say like kind of our best advice for people who are like starting in. If you have like that weird aesthetic or you don't quite fit in, taking yourself seriously and believing in your vision is like going to be the only way you can get through like hate and not like feeling like an outsider. And then that's when you find people like us where we're like, yes, like bring that to us. We need it. And it makes social media so much more fun.
So, like when you carve out your space in social media and you find others, there's nothing more powerful is like such a strong word, but you know what I mean? There's that confidence that comes with it, where I remember one of my my TikToks, see, the algorithm plays such a big part into it as well. It's not your fault half the time you get hate comments. It's the fact that these social media algorithms, they're pushing it out to people who could, like, number one, could care less. Number two, have different worldviews than you. Like that video that I posted got pushed out to Okay, I don't want this to sound like an ad, but it's slightly an ad. They got pushed out to like 50 to 60-year-old people in middle America. I feel like that
And
kind of
it sums up exactly like genuinely what is going to come with this, because it is a real thing at some point. Like, I remember my first brand deal I ever did, I had to tell them after it got pushed out, it was at around maybe like 200,000 views, which for me, I was really small at the time, so I'm like, oh my god, that's crazy. It was like 100 likes and like 5,000 hate comments, and I emailed them. I'm like, guys, like, did you check like where we're sending this video out to? Because I don't think this is it's okay. Like, the hate comments are not okay because I don't understand that. But it's like, it's okay if people don't like this, and that's fine. It's not for you. But there is very clear spaces in the world where this is what people like, and this is going to help your company a lot. And I feel like even as like a brand or stuff, we have to be so understanding of like who we're trying to reach out to.
Mhm.
And it may like kind of feel superficial to be like, I only want to reach them. But I think once you build that audience, then you have like these older demographics or kind of more conservative demographics who are like, oh my gosh, like I do kind of like this. And that's always so fun, getting those comments where it's like, my grandson showed me this video and like now I love watching. And it's so cute to know like we are kind of changing what we're deeming beautiful or just fun, and taking like the seriousness out of it, because at the end of the day it washes off.
I say that all the time. I was just like yeah, no, I agree. And I think with our style of makeup, it's been around for a while. However,
Yeah.
when it comes to um, newer users on TikTok, younger, older, because everyone's on TikTok, right? Where they haven't seen it, we're essentially their exposure therapy to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is us on a screen, and some people really do have a visceral reaction to how we are. Like, I laugh about it all the time. I'm like, imagine you like, you have your mom and your dad, you look over their shoulder, they're on their lazy boy, and they're typing out hate comments.
Yeah.
I think that's the funniest visual. And so I don't take it seriously. However, I do empathize with where they're coming from.
Because it's like, it's kind of more, what I enjoy out of it is like the study of kind of human reaction, and how, like, even with art, because we both kind of come from art backgrounds, of like how, like, let's say something like minimalism, or like this like Russian oh my gosh, now I'm like blanking. Like Malevich, like he did like these super abstract things, and like even to this day, like it makes people really angry. And I think I love kind of exploiting that and figuring out why. Because I
Hmm.
mean, of course, like humans, when we see something we are not accustomed to, it is like a shock. But to not be excited by the shock, like I never really kind of understood that, because I think now both of us, like, we kind of are always like pushing to even just shock ourselves and
Yeah.
what we can do.
That's what keeps me excited about makeup. Everyone, I get a lot of questions. People ask me like, where's the end? What's the
Yeah.
goal? And I said, there's no goal. I want to push it and be as insane as possible, because if I just, you know, rinse and repeat my favorite techniques over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get bored, right?
Mm-hmm.
For like me in my past life, I switch jobs like that. I try everything once. This is the longest job I've ever had. And there has been either like artist block, breaking points, sheer boredom. And I'm
Yes.
like, what's the point of this all? That that's what I do it for. I need to mentally stimulate myself with different things. Otherwise, I feel like you're the same, where if we're not feeling a look, it's so obvious,
Yeah.
right?
And you just want to wash it off.
You should-
There's no like point to it, I guess. Because I mean, there's been so many times I've hit record and I've kind of, even I have a look in mind and I do it, I'm just like, I don't like this. And that's kind of fun, because then that's where you kind of get to have fun. You're like, I already hate this. Like, let's just mess with
Yes.
it. And like I like this is kind of like a standard question, but like when you have like that artist block, I know how I like to get through it. Do you have like specific ways of getting through it, or do you kind of just like let it go until you find yourself at another look?
I Artist block is still a challenge for me. I don't know the exact formula to get out of it
Mm-hmm.
just yet, but what I know is I cannot force myself to create,
Mm-hmm.
because then that's when it's a spiral, right?
And it's
Where
not fun.
yeah, exactly, you're not feeling it from the beginning. You try something, it doesn't work out, you get more discouraged, rinse and
And then
repeat.
you get like scared of coming back. And that's probably one of the
Yes.
worst feelings you can have, especially with this being like our art. Like if it's like I kind of have this with something as simple as like reading. Like I love to read, but sometimes like I get scared of like opening the book because there's just I have like these pressures on myself that like I want to finish this book or I want to get to like this amount of pages, and then I like literally just don't read the book. And then I get into the mood where I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna like pick it up and read a little bit, and then I'm like zooming through it. And I
Hmm.
think like for me, like when I get like that intense, like I just don't know, I think that's where my best work comes out, because you kind of like abandon like your preconceived like I want to do this look. And like today, like I was about to just do like kind of my standard like blue smoky eye with a red lip, and I was like, I'm just not feeling that today. Like I
Hmm.
don't want to do it. And then I was like, what am I going to do? And then I was like, oh yeah, I did like that splatter look a while ago. And I was like, let me kind of build on that and see where we can come up. And then now I'm like, I feel like fun. Like I feel like I like conquered or like got through a challenge or something like that. Like I got to
Right.
the next level.
Yeah.
And like since you were working in like corporate America, like that very like tough, like straight edge society, like what did you know like being in it that if something had to give, because like you were going from like job to job to job because you were searching for that like relax of this is where I'm supposed to be. Like
Hmm.
as somebody, I've also worked many jobs I did not enjoy. How like what pushed you like over that where you're like I need to do it for me?
So when I worked for the government, that one was a very like that was a me. Like I'm like I don't love this. I
Mm-hmm.
see the people around me, God bless all of them, like all my past coworkers, but they've been there for 20 plus years and it was just very stagnant. It felt like
Mm-hmm.
still air. And I was in my early 20s at that point. I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, this is not it. This is not life.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to, leave. And then when it came to my tech startup job, and the job I'm in currently, this was out of my control
Mm-hmm.
because since the pandemic, when the pandemic started, do you remember all those tech layoffs that happened
Yes,
all
yes,
at
yes,
once?
yes.
Like Spotify, the thousands, Google, hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
My company was a part of that. So I got let go in the beginning of the pandemic, and no one was hiring in my field.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was scrambling. I was like, okay, well, I was living in downtown Toronto at the time. I need to survive. What I have all this time in the world. I can't get a job right now. What can I do? And
Mm-hmm.
social media was something that I've thought about. However, now I had the opportunity, or, I had to do it full force, give it my 100%. And here we are.
And when did you start a fit? Because like you were originally like I how I discovered you was through YouTube. When did you kind of start your YouTube and then slowly transitioned into kind of doing more short form?
Ooh. So I think on when I started YouTube, Instagram was just still photos,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I was like, oh, let me like try something different. Let me, talk on camera. People can see my personality if they want to. And I feel like I was a little bit more unhinged back then as well, because
Mm-hmm.
this was in the throes of me being a party girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was in the throes of me having an alcohol problem. And I made some like you know, crazy decisions. And I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have, I I didn't find my identity just yet, right? So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, let me like do this, let me do this, let me try it. And so I think once I got sober and like reels started becoming a thing and like TikTok become a thing. Sorry, I'm gonna like back up a little bit
No,
here.
you're all good.
When I was in that unhinged era, I would talk about everything about myself, right? I put everything out there.
Yeah.
Once I got sober, I realized that my identity cannot be just online.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little bit for me personally. I realized that having stuff to myself and only myself is very important because what happens if my YouTube channel gets deleted? What happens if this gets deleted? I'm left of a shell of myself. That's not fair,
Yeah.
right? So when I started to pull myself back is when I kind of stepped away from YouTube as well because I'm trying to find that balance of putting my personal life out there but also not oversharing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like I find that too because like sometimes I'm like writing a story or something and I'm like do I want people to know this? I'm like, and especially I mean it is practically permanent at this point, like especially at the stage that we are. It's like one screenshot, it's like that's gonna live in somebody's phone forever. And so now like I'm like grappling with like, do I want to like be a personality? Do I want to be more of like a look? Do I want to sell myself as like a makeup artist, or do I want people to know me for me? And I think it's been kind of fun, honestly, figuring out that balance where
Mhm.
like I'll do like a talk and get ready with me where I like talk about the podcast, like what's going on for this. And then like when I was working, I come from, we kind of have very similar backgrounds in like childhood and all that, where I have like that kind of fighting energy where I want to like prove myself. Like I want to be like, I did it. I have like, and that can turn to like negativity. And like, I remember both of the jobs I've had previously, I was not allowed, like I had issues with like all of my management of like the makeup I wore, kind of like how I presented myself. And I always took, because makeup is so kind of integral for me, I took like personal offense to that and was like, oh, so you don't like me. And I wanted so badly to like just get online and be like, they didn't allow me to do this, like they're frauds and all that. And then I realized I'm like, yes, this will be a long conversation in the future where I want to talk about like how kind of people who look like us are treated and kind of like sometimes shown as like sideshow freaks and
Yep.
not, and people can't get past like the look. But I realize I'm like, I don't want to be represented that way. I will talk to my friends about this. I'll talk to my therapist about this and get it like figured out inside. But I'm like, that's not for like 20,000 people to see. Like that's not their business. It's like, and knowing, being comfortable and like that's fine. Like they don't need to know everything, but also there are really fun parts that we get to show of ourselves. I mean, like
Mhm.
you did like the Fenty show. You've been on like Glow Up and things like this, like platforms where you get to kind of see us, and like that's kind of like where we belong almost, where we can connect a little bit more, but it has to do with how what like our work, I guess. So I
Yes.
think it is hard finding that, but now it feels like you're almost, I don't know, I want to know if you kind of feel the same way, but sometimes I'm like, am I like two different people, or am I just like showing different sides? Because
Um,
I'm very like my OCD tells me like you need to like say everything if you want to be honest, and I'm like, am I being a fraud? But then I'm just like, there's just different sides to me, and I wonder like how you kind of view like that online persona versus like how you are in real life with like just close friends.
ooh. I heard this thing like way back in my Tumblr days, back when I was like an emotional, you know, teenager, and it really
Mm-hmm.
stuck to me to this day. Where I'm not sure exactly who said it, but they said there's a thousand versions of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
There's you, how your parents see you, how your friends see you, there's 1,000 versions of yourself, and you can't please all of them. You can't
Yeah.
please them. And I think going into social media with that kind of ethos in mind has really helped me, right? Where I know that people that follow me, that come up to me, they have a different version of who I really am, right? Here I am,
Yes.
like, I'm still sending my best friend like deep fried memes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like,
Things you're not going to post on your story for everybody.
right? And I think I I honestly am quite comfortable with that people view me differently, because at the end of the day, like, social media, yes, is fun for me and it's what I love doing. However, this is also my profession, right?
Yeah.
I don't go into a corporate job with my full personality hanging out,
Yeah.
right? You need to have that level of separation personally. It's just with social media, a, it's an interesting challenge, because how we make money based on us, our
Mm-hmm.
personality, our face, like our art. It's so integral to our core, rather than like, oh, going to a corporate job, can you fill out these spreadsheets for me? Yeah, I
Yeah.
can do that. Who cares what I look like? Right? And showing up in like jammies and like filling out things, closing your laptop, you're done at 4:30. But
Mm-hmm.
for us, the way we make money is all of it. And I think that's,
Yeah.
do you ever do you ever like have that challenge where like,
Where like you don't
how-
know like where that line is set. Like
yeah,
because how
like, do
I've
you have
always
a
viewed
work
it, like,
schedule?
yeah, and again, like I like how I do my videos right now, like I'm very like I always want to keep building. I always want to like I want to grow, like I want to reach new people, like I want to be able to have like what makes me so grateful about having this job is like we do get to set our schedules and we do get really insane opportunities, get to meet really cool people, but at the same breath, and this I've had to kind of realize because I've been in both sides where I was literally working all day, going to school. Like my schedule was I wake up at 7 in the morning, go to school till 12, then work till 7, then come home at 8, then record a TikTok, then do my homework, then go to bed and do it again. So I've had
Mhm.
kind of both sides, and it's like it's this job is more emotional where you have to grapple with the views. Are people not liking it? The hate. Like the first thing I do when I wake up is like check to see if my videos did well. Like do I post my video for the day, and then I keep them moving. So it's kind of like I never want to sound ungrateful because at the end of the day, the physical difficulty of this profession is not hard. This is not a hard job. We are so privileged to
Mhm.
be able to do this. But at the same time, there is no log off. Like even if you turn off Instagram or you like don't check it, at the end of the day, we need to know if something's doing well. We have to be aware of like we how we're being reacted to, because let alone for some reason we're in a controversy and we don't know, and then now a brand pulled out of something. It's like there is now an expectation that we are always on.
Yeah.
And like do you have any like ways of grappling with that, or has it just become kind of you used to it?
Going back to your point, I do want to reinstate that this is the easiest job I've ever had,
Mm-hmm.
right?
For how the opportunities we can get.
Exactly. Is art itself is so like mentally tolling. However,
Mm-hmm.
in comparison to the past jobs I've had, we're incredibly lucky.
Yeah.
The one point that I always say to people, though, when they are motivated to try social media, is that yes, this is a really incredible job, but it's possibly the most isolating job I've ever had in my
Yes.
entire life. I miss having team meetings. I don't like this is where I work and I live and I have my management, but they're not here with me.
Yeah.
You know, all the videos I edit, I post myself. All my looks are, we do it
Yeah,
ourselves.
we have to be we have to feed everything.
Yeah, we're self-starters, right? So it is an incredibly isolating job where there's points in my day where I'm like, wow, I haven't used my voice in like 9 hours. Or like here I am like croaking, or like, I'm just trying to sing like a Mariah Carey ballad to remember that I can still talk. Sorry, what was your original question?
No, I mean, just like how you grapple with it. And I think you kind of like went through it, that where like it's a very strange environment. You don't really understand until you're in it. Because like right now, guys, it may look like a white backdrop behind me. This is like my wall of my bedroom. Like my door is right next to me. My like bed and my where I record my videos. I sit on my bed to record my videos.
I didn't know that.
Yes. I know, it's like, and I have like, I can touch my closet right now. Like my dresser's in front of me. I have a tiny room, but it's like, it's kind of, at least I've kind of learned, like I have different corners for each of like what I do. Cause especially I'm in school too. Like I have my bed where I lay, and that's like, that is my peaceful place. Then I have my makeup next to me. So when I'm like sitting up, I'm in my makeup mode. Like underneath me, I have like sculptures and stuff I'm working on, just like random props and stuff. And then I have like the rest of my room, which is like for outfits and stuff. So it's like, I've learned at least to kind of compartmentalize like every section of like my online persona. And my goals are one day to have like a studio where I can do it. But like right now it's all in one room. So like how, like what I was trying to get at is like, have you found ways to kind of like compartmentalize everything and kind of still not always be consumed in it?
Yeah. So when I started doing social media, I was exactly like you, like 400 square foot apartment, like there's my bed. You roll out of bed, there's my table for my makeup. And then I was going to school as well, retail jobs. I found the technique that you use was really helpful for me back in the day, just to separate it, right? Now, because I live in a house, which is, again, very lucky to say this. I have my makeup room. I do all my work here. My closet's back there. But like once that door closes and I'm out, I'm out into like my kitchen, to my bedroom, like that's Mei, right? Not Microsoft. It's just me doing my little hamster thing, just living out of.
I feel like kind of yoga, like I see you doing, like you do post like your yoga online, but I feel like overall that's like that's kind of me with like reading or like watching documentaries or something. That's like my checking out of I'm not thinking about my phone, what's going on, recording what I have the next day. It's like that stillness. And how long have you been kind of doing yoga for, or like mindfulness or anything kind of like that?
I started doing all that fun bendy movement stuff when I got sober. I realized that I have a lot of time on my hands, because I wasn't going out until, the afters, the 5, the 6s in the morning.
Yes.
That I needed to fill my time, and I knew I needed to fill my time with something productive. So I came from a fighting background. I did jiu-jitsu, judo, taekwondo, and that was my core childhood, was just fighting. And because I did it for so long, my body was completely shot. So I was like, what's something that will have that individualism to it? Not a team sport, but I can do it at home, and I can, because this was during the pandemic, I can do it at home and I won't hurt myself.
Yeah.
And yoga was the go-to. I didn't expect myself to get to this point where I'm like literally throwing my body everywhere, but yeah, no, here we are. And I feel like I think that is one of the core pillars, or like what I have realized like gets me out of my whole social media persona, is to literally get myself away from a screen. Right? You know how people, they relax by like going through TikTok, that's how they relax. We can't do that.
Yes. I think, and that's like the best way of putting it, because then you'll see a video and you're like, oh, I have to do something like that, or like you get new ideas. It's like, it is not a break for us. No. It is like, it's like walking into work by like going on TikTok.
I know. Yeah, so like the only thing that I've learned that helps me is just removing myself, closing the screen, walking away, touching some grass. That's
Mm-hmm.
the only, like, I started crocheting. I've done, like, tried sewing, anything that doesn't involve technology, essentially. Because it's
Yeah.
hard to when you're self-employed or when you're working for yourself, it's so hard to say I'm done for the day, right?
Because
There's
we
no time
always
without
like
time.
to be able to be like self-employed or like that entrepreneur mindset, it's kind of like I find myself like looking down on myself for like not wanting to do more. Like I
Mhm.
remember I came home um from Christmas. I came back to New York. I was just on a 3-hour bus ride. I think I got here around 11 o'clock and at night, and then I came back to my apartment at 12. The first thing I did is I sat down and did an unboxing video of the PR I got.
Stop that.
Yeah,
That's actually kind of insane.
and I have like this really I just want it so like there are things I want and I want them so bad and I want to work for them, like I want to get there, where it's like I will like I was talking about earlier, like my schedule was I was every day like go school work all that TikTok, and then my one day off was Monday, and then
Hmm.
Monday I did TikTok all day and edited for the
Right.
next week. So it's like at some point you kind of have to like realize it's okay, like, and you it is essential that you have like that time off. If not, like I would literally, and I think getting, because right now I'm on break from school, I'm not working in like a retail space and I'm just doing this full time, where I'm like, oh my god, like I can just like I'm it's okay like to log out and just like recuperate, or else like it like my content back, like I rewatched the videos during that era and it was so like tense, and just like I felt like I was just like a machine like producing all
Hmm.
these videos and it wasn't like authentic. And I don't think people want to, you don't watch somebody because you want to watch them struggle, or like you want to see like you want to watch something for other people and be relaxed and or informative or something like that.
Hmm.
And I think for us like being like self-starters and all that, because we don't like I don't there's not like a hierarchy for our job. We're not like at a government where there's like the manager, then there's the assistant manager, then
Right.
there's all these people. It's kind of you fill all these roles, and in order to not like get burnt out or run out of steam, you kind of have to kind of shut yourself down and like be your own boss, but then also kind of listen to that boss. It's a really strange kind of like hierarchy where you have to be every part of yourself, which can be
Hmm.
exhausting, but also I kind of find it fun and exhilarating at some points where we we are in control. And I wonder like if do you view it like the same way, or do you
I,
get stressed out by that? I don't know, because it's also it's personality type too.
yeah. I think for me, there is quite a bit of pressure to produce content, right? To
Mm-hmm.
be like, wake up at a certain time, da 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 da. There's so much pressure to perform.
Mm-hmm.
And when I take a step back, I realize, okay, we're both producing art, right?
Mm-hmm.
Telling a traditional painter to crank out 6 paintings a week is not feasible. It's not
Mm-hmm.
quality and it's not fulfilling,
Mm-hmm.
right? When I took it from that perspective, that gave me, number one, that gave me time to just relax and to
Yeah.
actually conceptualize something that I'm proud of. Therefore, people will feel that the same way. Because it's crazy how, like, we're we're told by the algorithm, by Instagram, by TikTok, it's like post 5 to 6 times a day, or like
More
post
is
seven.
better.
Yeah,
Quantity over quality.
yeah, yeah. Or like, I remember I was on a call with like just, people who have insights to Instagram. They're like, oh, the sweet spot for your stories is 7 stories a day. And I'm like, oh, I don't do that much, anything that's notable 7 times a day.
Yeah. And I think again it's like we like the original concept of like social media was like the social part where it was like a back and forth of in a sense of authenticity, however that can be done in a digital platform. But like over time, again, when money gets involved, and I think this is a great kind of analogy to also the art world, like you were saying earlier, once you get kind of that momentum going and you start getting the views and you start like pulling in brand deals, then it's like, then you turn into the factory. And it's like I was just reading a document or a biography of Mapplethorpe, and it was he got to a point where he had so much work he had to make. It was just like it was like an Andy Warhol factory or whatever, where it was not quality like conceptualized things. It was like, how much can we get out there and hope something sticks.
Yep.
And now like it's hard not to feel pressure to be a part of that, because again, that is how we make our money and how we get more followers, and we're able to unlock more opportunities and come to the next level. But then again, I feel like when I do a video where I just recorded and I'm like, it'll be something, it never does well. It's like, but when I have like those videos and I'm like, oh my God, like I spent so much time on it, like I really thought about it, it's really gratifying to know like people do see through that, I think, for a large majority, especially with the type of people we have in our circles, where they can see that. And it's been so nice knowing like we're getting past that. We kind of went back. We're like, I guess like 2016 era, it was very kind of artificial, but now everyone wants authenticity, and that, I guess, more so sense of community. And I mean, I've just been feeling a lot better with it, because like I like for you, like how I was like looking at your profile, of course, and like, but how do you have like a set schedule where like you want to post this many times a week, or does it kind of coincide with how you get your makeup looks out?
I have a template of what I would like to hit personally before, when I first started, and like I was like, oh, I need to get like brand deals. Da, da, da. I was posting every single day. Insane. That was too much. But now, because I can take a breather once I realize that if I don't post for a day, people are not going to forget about me. Because that's what I thought before. I was like, oh, if I don't post for a couple days, everyone will unfollow me and everyone will forget about me. Like, so now, since I got past like that mental hurdle, I try to carve out time for myself. Of course, I stopped posting on weekends, which was like,
ooh,
such
okay,
a
I like
beautiful
that.
thing to say for me personally. Like, I stopped posting on weekends. I probably do 4 videos a week. And for my TikTok, I'm still like, even though I've been on the platform for like upcoming now, what, like 3-4 years, I'm still trying to find that sweet spot, right? Where some people say you have to post twice a day. Some people are like, oh, you don't have to, go that hard. So,
Well, with like, I think algorithm has been one of the biggest devils of this, because it's always changing.
yeah.
Each platform views things differently. Like what I've found, and this has worked for me, and maybe it'll work for like other people listening, but we kind of I've kind of unlocked like TikTok's kind of reversing now, and they've been enjoying like longer form content, I found. But then like on Instagram, my videos that are like 20 seconds long like do exponentially better than the
Really?
longer ones. So it's like now I'm like grappling with, do I want to, because I record all my videos on TikTok and then download them into Instagram. So now I'm like battling myself, like, do I want to do like the longer videos to do better on TikTok, or do I want to make it shorter? And I kind of always go back and forth with like what I want to do, because we're trying to grow like a lush type of all-encompassing community, not just like specializing on one platform. And like, I guess I wonder, do you find yourself, because I think like most of your videos kind of have a similar like template almost, where it's kind of a more process based. Like sometimes you do, sometimes you don't like actually sit and like voice over, but it's more so like, this is what I'm doing. And
Right.
do you kind of like deviate from that, or like find yourself being like, maybe I should do like a longer video of like exactly what I'm doing?
Yeah. Again, it's the algorithms that are working so hard against us because on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, they say, like, for me and my analytics, my sweet spot is 13 seconds. Imagine fitting a 4-hour look in
Yeah,
13 seconds. It's impossible.
and still wanting it to be impactful, because at the end of the day,
Exactly.
like, I do love the visuals and everything, but I do have a goal of inspiring, and I feel like just showing like this is what I did and
The
then
finished
cutting it,
result. Yeah.
yeah, it's not as impactful as we would want it to be.
Yeah. I love showing the process because one thing that I really want to do with makeup is to show that it's incredibly accessible to do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
There are some looks that I do that are very detail oriented, like, because I have experience being a painter that, people that are just starting out in makeup don't have.
Yeah.
However, my overarching, like all my video or most of my videos and most of my looks, I want people to see that and literally anyone can do it, right? And
If you
that sounds
have
very
like
like,
that fire, it any literally anything is possible, and practice is like the biggest thing,
yes.
because that's what, like, and I think like kind of how what I found is everyone does kind of have their medium or something. Like for me, I was never a great painter or drawer. Like I could never like just sit myself down and do it. But then once I discovered makeup, it was kind of like, oh, like this is my way of expressing. And so
Mhm.
I do always find it fun or like fascinating, like you coming from like a painting background and then fusing it into your makeup. And like I wanted, like throughout, like one of my the first things when I decided I wanted to interview you was kind of talking about like your process, I guess, of
Mhm.
like how you come up with new techniques, because I think both of us we're kind of more, I don't know how to say it, like there's like product focused beauty creators who like they see like a blue mascara and like that's the center of their look, where
Right.
I feel like with us it's kind of like we see like a new brush or something and it's like that, like, oh, like we like the toothbrush or whatever, let me splatter my face or something. How do you kind of come up with your like putting like the lipstick on the piece of plastic and like transferring it to the skin? Is it kind of just like spontaneous, you see something and then you do it, or like I'm just so curious like how you come up with these things?
Yeah. I think one fun thing about my videos is I never plan out anything. I don't do practice looks. I don't
Mm-hmm.
like, test it on my arm. I'm like, whatever. I'm just gonna sit down and I'm gonna do it on my face, like for realsies. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Um, which leads me to say that for every like makeup video that people have seen that has been brought to light, there are probably 2 to 3 attempts that I've tried with other things that have not worked out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people to look at me and assume that, oh, everything she does is a success. It's not. It's a lot of trial and process, just like painting, just like even like with the corporate world, right? You're never going to
Yeah.
get everything right the first time. Um, I, what do I do? Where do I find my inspiration? I love looking at like vintage graphic design books, optical
Mm-hmm.
illusion books for like shapes.
Mm-hmm.
I look to nature a lot because just like the patterns within it, I feel translates so well to makeup.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Right? And the one thing that whenever I just want to have fun, I go on mom blogs. I
Okay.
those like those moms that are like, here are 10 art things your kid can do during summer break.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. That
And
was
I'm,
like such a curveball. I love that.
and I'm like, I can do this. I have a cup. If you put a cup on your face, or if you put a cup on paper and you put water around, like, sorry, paint cup paper,
Yeah.
take it off, put water around it, you've made a bubble. And I'm like, I love that. Let me try that with makeup. And that's, a couple of videos of mine before is just me attempting that. I looked at them a lot. So shout
And
out
I think what's
moms.
cool is you don't, I feel like you don't stop with that one idea. Like you're not, because I always get like surprised. Like you'll do like the cup on the face or whatever, and I'm like, oh, that's the look. But then you like kind of go back into it and like you add these other details, and I think that's where kind of like that muscle memory kicks in of like, though you don't have like the thought out idea, the end process in mind, you kind of like have the techniques now of, okay, let me add some shading in there. Let me
Yeah.
add like the liner and other stuff. And I always found that pretty fascinating because I think we're actually opposites in that. I find like, I want that to be the statement, like the process to be the statement. I feel like you kind of do it as like accessory. Like you take the look, the idea of it, and then keep going on top. And I find that really cool because I'm very minimal with it. Like when I do a technique, like that's what I want it to speak. But I find it, you like incorporating and build onto it, and I find that really cool that you're able to like keep going with it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's again, keeping makeup interesting for me,
Mm-hmm.
and it's what excites me when I do want to like, because all the technique or most of the techniques that I do is the outcome is so organic that to
Yeah.
me it's like a game. It's like, okay, this is what happened. How am I gonna branch off of this? What's next?
Mm-hmm.
And by having kind of like a foundation that wasn't in my control and building on top of it, it's like a game show. It's like a fun little
Yeah.
challenge, and that's
You
what I
never
love.
know where you're gonna end, because I found like
Exactly.
with a lot of, I think by the time this comes out, I'll have like the promo images for Subversive Beauty out. For me, I'm kind of like on the, there's like two different sides of me where like sometimes I just like sit down and play with the makeup and put it all on, and I find out new things. And then other times for like images, I have the image in mind. Of course, things change along the way, but I know exactly how I want it to look, which is helpful
Hmm.
for photography because I'm like, I know where I want the camera, I know how I want it done, I know I want who I want to photograph it. And like for the what is it, like the beach shoot that I did where I'm like wrapped in plastic, that originally was going to be like, I wanted it to be more of like a full, it was going to be like a full body paint.
Hmm.
And then I realized I was like, I had this like image of like, I have like these tiny like red underwear on. I just want that to like peek through, and then it's like encapsulated in plastic. And I went back home in Maryland for Christmas break, and I was there with my best friend Lauren, and she's an amazing photographer. So we kind of teamed up. We went to the beach. It was 40 degrees out, raining, and then that just created a whole new story because we originally we were not going to be on the beach. I was going to be in a forest, and then there was like a bird that kept running up behind us. Like it's so fun, and I think like the images came out how I wanted, but along the way the process did kind of inform where the vision went.
Hmm.
And this is kind of, and oh, what I wanted to say earlier, you were talking about practice a lot. I think that's like what we can both say is the biggest thing for anybody getting into makeup or getting into content creation, just kind of like keeping that wheel going of just allowing yourself to sit and practice.
Yeah.
Because like originally when I was in high school, like I would do like 2 makeup looks a day. Like even today, sometimes I'll do 3, not even so much to post, but just to like by now, I'm sure you can too. I can probably do my makeup with my eyes closed. Like I know
Right.
exactly what my face feels like. And like when did you get to a point where you felt kind of just like comfortable doing makeup? Because when you first start it, you're not completely mindless yet. But then
Hmm.
now I feel like once you kind of get the hand motions together, like when I do makeup, I don't think about anything. Like it's just like kind of second nature, and it's more fluid. Did you originally start like that, or do you still kind of, are you in your mind when you're doing your makeup?
I I always say that I'm learning when it comes to makeup. When I first started my
Mm-hmm.
make like that's a good point when it comes to people who want to do social media, practice and also document it. Maybe just don't post it for yourself, but just like take a photo
Yeah.
so you can see so you can number one, you can stare at yourself and see like what needs to be improved, but also just to see the progression. That's why I keep up all my posts online.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like 3,000 like spanning from the very, very like beginnings just to like humble me a little bit and just for
Yeah,
other
and
people
to
to
show that
see.
everybody has that. that
Exactly.
progression. Because
Exactly.
when you start like on social media, it's very easy for people to like, they see us now and then it's like, oh my God, they've always been like able to do this makeup. It's like, I have some skeletons in my closet of like makeup looks I've done and I still look at them and I'm like, what was I doing? But that's like that's part of it and that's what makes it fun. And if you're able to kind of keep pushing through that, that's like, that's the only way you're going to be able to learn and enjoy it more once you've
Hmm.
made those mistakes. Because even till today, we both still have like those looks where we're just like, what were we doing?
Yep.
Like, and we just wipe it off. And that's the thing too. You can start again. It's not like even with painting, like if you ruin a canvas, you have to go buy another canvas. We're lucky that like our face is our canvas, and as long
Yep.
as we take care of it, we can keep going and keep
Hmm.
trying new things. And and that actually leads me to like another question. Like, do you find like a major difference between like painting on your face versus like a canvas, besides like the natural like it's a canvas versus a face?
Once I got out of art university, I
Mm-hmm.
realized that painting wasn't for me. I'm the first to admit I'm not the most talented on canvas, and I would not be able to sustain myself as a painter, because I've reached that end point. I was like, okay, this is all I can do, but it wasn't good enough,
Mm-hmm.
right? So being able to like, because it's a completely different hand motion when you think about
Mm-hmm.
it. Like flipping your hand
Going
from
from
this
here to
to
here.
this is completely different. I have like a elbow to ground my this like all my videos. I'm like hunched over. I'm like gripping
Yeah,
onto my arm. That's like, sorry, I totally forgot the question. Oh my God. What
the
was it?
difference between painting on canvas
Oh,
versus back on the face.
yeah, it's a completely different movement as well. Where me for my painting, it was quite expressional. Like I was expression abstract, where it's like huge, long, aggressive strokes.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas makeup is the brushes that we use are so tiny, and
Mm-hmm.
you're just like doing a little like wipe back and forth like this. I see your videos when you do like your blue smoky eye. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
this technique to get that blend is incredible. I'm still learning. I'm like, do you hold the brush on an angle or do you do it straight? Like now I'm just asking you. Like, do you do it straight on or do you angle the brush
See,
to
I feel
blend?
like with that, it's a mix of product and technique.
Okay.
Like, I have you ever tried Viseart eyeshadows?
I had one way back when, but it was like the cool mattes.
Okay, the that color palette, Editorial Brights, Viseart absolutely takes the cake with a color eyeshadow like them and Sugar Pill. That completely transformed how I was able to do it. And I think the layering is also key. Like for
Mhm.
me, like I'm trying to like imagine now, like I have specific brushes for specific looks. I'm kind of I actually never anchor my elbow except if I'm doing like a liner. I
Okay.
kind of like take it and I know like the contour of my eye and I'm just sweeping, but I don't pack. Like I think how kind of 2016 and like early influencer makeup taught us was like the packing the color in and then the blend. I'm more so blend it, add more color, add more color, add more color slowly,
So you just
then
like
move in.
layer it.
Yeah. And I
Okay.
think that's like also why like pointillism works and stuff like that, like why the cheek looks more blend or something like that is because I don't pack it on. It's kind of like a progression. And I
Yeah.
think that's where you get more like seamlessness.
Hmm.
And um and I think also though I don't want to always sit here and be like you need because those Viseart palettes are like $80. They are very expensive, but at some point there's a difference between buying expensive makeup because the packaging is very expensive and it's a luxury product versus an expensive product because it is made with like the highest of quality materials. And
Hmm.
I can confidently say like those Viseart palettes, anybody who's looking for color and they are absolutely worth saving up for. Like my first Pat McGrath palette I saved for a couple months trying to get it and then I bought it on sale and I love them, but the variety of looks I can get from like the Viseart is like I would recommend it to anybody who's like trying to save up for something. And it's just like I love luxury, but at the end of the day, like high performance, like those makeup artist based brands
Mhm.
will always like have my heart. And I that now we're kind of getting into like the segment where I'm kind of like always most excited for. Like I want to hear like what are some of your favorite like makeup brands where like they release something and you like know it's about to be good.
And I eat it up every time.
Yeah.
Okay, that is, I'm looking over at the vast. Okay, I wouldn't even say that my makeup collection is quite vast, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest with you. It's like two IKEA carts
Yeah.
of so like for small businesses, I people think I'm on Blend Bunny's payroll. I'm truly not. I just love her product so much when it comes to the accessibility,
Mm-hmm.
how many different shades you get for the
Yeah.
price point. It's a beautiful brand. I'm like currently wearing it right now on my eyes. Pastels
Yeah,
are
and
just,
they're so like punchy, but still like
yes,
that pastel, which is very, very, very hard to do.
incredibly difficult. And I beg like Sugar Pill to make more pastel shades where because like that's how I blend, right? That's what we figured out is like we
Yeah,
need those like not saturated but still has that tone to it,
yeah,
right? Whereas Sugar Pill, they're high impact, right?
yeah.
You got Love Plus, you got Velocity, and like that. Wow, I'm just really my Sugar Pill knowledge is
Velocity also, I think they discontinued, and I'm still. That's you're talking about the dark blue, right?
yeah.
It's discontinued. I know. I literally
The front door. Why?
Sugar Pill. I know. I want to make sure, like Sugar Pill, Amy, like please. That was like my favorite. It was the best deep blue eyeshadow.
It was like cobalt. It was like a
Yes,
perfect like
that was always like what I was talking about. That was my deepening shade because it was just the perfect tone. And I
mm,
think like if I'm doing I also use I think it's helium is like the lighter blue color. That's
is that
like
the more
more of like a
teal one?
punchy. Yeah. No,
Okay, yeah.
not teal. There's like there's like no green in it. It's just like a very light wait, it's just
Oh,
like a light like
hypnotic.
baby blue.
Is it hypnotic?
Oh
That
no,
one?
yeah, it might be hypnotic. I'm forgetting. I usually am like good about the names, but I think like it's gone. And I think I'm always like
It's
with Sugar Pill, like if you want like the like that's where you see it's like a makeup artist or I don't even want to say makeup artist as much of more of like drag and like creative makeup because like the pans
yeah.
are huge. I use the white shade as my like when I'm painting my face white, like I use that as like a foundation base.
It's so
It's
good. It's the best white I've ever tried. Like
it's
hands down.
so saturated and like so I like am huge sugar Sugarfell. Like even their like their liquid lipsticks, and they were
Mhm.
also probably one of the first major like color eyeshadow um businesses and one of the first small makeup businesses, which I find really cool. Like listening to Amy's story is so much fun.
I love her so much. Yeah, like Sugar Pill's fantastic. If we're going Luxe, Pat McGrath, obviously.
Yeah,
Like that's mothership. Fucking
yeah,
beam me up because I will
yeah.
eat every time. And Danessa Myricks. I
And I
find
think
that her releases as of late have been so exciting. Like, because I do, for an average person, this is way too much makeup,
yeah,
right? Where, like, for me, there's not a lot of, like nowadays people can come up with that I will be excited about. But when Danessa did her Lightworks 5 or 6 or
yeah.
4, that was like a breath of fresh air because we need like especially at Sephora and like personally never been to an Ulta because we don't have that in Canada. There is such a lack of color.
And just a lack of fun. Like
Yeah.
my candy store is like a professional makeup artist store. Like if you guys are in New York,
Which
like
one is this one?
Alcone and Manhattan Wardrobe Supply, they are like it's like legitimately I'm a kid in candy store because there's like special effects. Most of the brands are like makeup artist founded, so it's like every color, every texture. Like I remember I was at Sephora and I was looking for a black lipstick, and I think I found like two,
Yeah.
and it's like I mean, there has to be more like there has to be people out there who want that. Like I
There's
know
more
it's
to
not the
life
most
than this.
common. And I like now I don't, as much as I do just go into Sephora to kind of just like mosey around and see what's going on, I very rarely now get like excited to go into a
Mhm.
Sephora. Whereas like when I go to like one of my professional stores, I'm every time I go in, I'm greeted with something I've never seen before.
Especially
Like
the
one,
tools.
yes, and that's I think one of the biggest things people need to understand too. You're kind of like only as good as the tools you have,
Yes.
and like even you don't have, that doesn't mean the most expensive again. Like you can, a lot of my tools, and I think you do the same too, are like art tools,
Yeah,
like
arts and
legitimately
crafts,
made for
Joanne's.
painting. Yeah, like I go in there and I'm like, oh, I can use that for this. Like I can do a new look with like this type of brush. And like with Danessa, like even all the stuff you see at the Sephora does not compare to like everything she really has. She is just like, she's one of those people where it has such a unique view of beauty and also prioritizes like the technology behind it, because those lightwork palettes, like I have the new one 5.
Yes.
I have never touched such like high impact metallics, because there's also kind of, I think what people, there needs to be like more words for types of shades, because like a Pat McGrath Blitz metallic is so much different than like a Danessa Myricks like chrome-ish metallic,
Mhm.
where they're just, it doesn't mean one's better than the other, they just do different things.
Yeah.
And I think like playing with Danessa Myricks has like there's so many possibilities, and every new release she takes into account everything, and I get so excited.
No, she's incredible. Like I'm so glad that she's in Sephora. Like we where was I reading? I was like reading about the selection of products based on the country that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
And like in the North America, we're so muted. We love our neutrals, but if you go to like in Italy and Mexico or Brazil,
Yeah,
they have those punchier, like high pigment products. So yeah, no, I feel like we're also landlocked in a way.
yeah, where it's
But
like that's just unfortunately like not our culture, and that
yeah,
kind of takes me back to like the kind of society of this. So I always like to talk to people about this. So I feel like now we're into the kind of era, like people like clean girl is kind of supreme right now. But I this is what I kind of don't understand about companies and all that. I feel like the poster child of like a 2023 makeup may be that clean girl kind of minimal look, but I feel like there's so many of us out there who want this color. And I've never, like when people are like, oh, makeup's so boring nowadays, I always am like, but are
you
you
know,
looking?
yeah,
Like
I was
there's
like,
so
where?
many, we've never been in an era, I feel, where we have so many different visions that are not only out there but are celebrated. And
Hmm.
like I want to know like what your view of like the contemporary like makeup beauty space is.
Like, what am I seeing lately? Who am I
Yeah, or
seeing?
like how you feel like you are in it, or like what, like what do you, what are you seeing like on your For You page, or like what do you like to watch, or who do you see that is doing something kind of like weird or interesting?
Gosh, I feel
Because I know
like
there's like so many people.
there are so many people, and when it comes to my For You page, I feel like I guess it's my algorithm. I rarely see beauty content.
Okay, what is your
'Cause-
major like stuff coming up?
Oh, just like I'm a classic mom boomer, like cute dog videos,
Yeah.
like America's Funniest Videos. Like that's because that's I guess TikTok knows I need to shut off my brain, and if I look at beauty stuff, I'm going to start thinking about work again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what am I watching lately? I've been watching a lot of like pottery. I guess I can't do it, so that's been fun. But in terms of people like the first person that comes to mind like straight off the bat is like a group of like I'll start rattling off names. You'll know the exact group of people I'm talking
Okay.
about. Like the Izamaya Frenches, the
Yes.
Aoife, Cullens, Nazra, sorry,
Yeah.
Nazra Lux, Issa Antoinette. Like their subgenre of just alien-esque, beautiful color makeup
I agree. I
sets
feel
my
like that's
soul on
really
fire.
where we are right now, where a lot of
Hmm.
people keep talking about clean beauty, but I mean, when Izamaya first launched Izamaya Beauty, like I was so excited, and I knew it was going to be something new. What I did not expect, though, was how, or not expect, or I didn't expect it, but I wanted it to happen, how much it would grow.
Yes.
Like that, the black lip gloss was one of my favorites from when it went out. The amount of black lip glosses, dark cherry lip glosses I'm seeing now, it's like, for as clean girl as like the internet claims, and like I feel like a lot of beauty publications claim is like the big winner right now. I feel like there is like with like those Isamayas and stuff like that, we're having a lot more fun. And I feel like though like we're not like the ones at like what's her name, Michaela's level or something like that, it's like we have our community, and it is a very big community that has a lot of
Boston
spending
Michaela.
power.
You're talking about Boston Michaela.
Yeah.
Okay. I was
Noguera,
like,
I think.
No, Noguera.
Sorry, girl.
I genuinely have no idea. But yeah, like that goes to your point of like you made a great point of just there's product beauty and then there's like aesthetic beauty. Like I have never done a product review. Like I very rarely do a product review. And like if I do, it's something that like I've never tried before or like I don't know, I just thought it'd be fun.
Or that's something that's like interesting, something that's like brand new.
Mm-hmm.
Like because I am sometimes like that person where like when I go to like those special effects stores, like one of my biggest videos ever was my matching my teeth to my lips or whatever.
I need to buy that still. You sent me the link. I still need to buy it.
Yeah. It's the first, I want to make it clear that was not nail polish. That was yes, people thought it was nail polish. And it's a special effects product just called Tooth Paint by Kryolan. Ben Nye has it. But I went to the store and I see this like red tooth paint and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I love stuff like that.
The
like
wheels
I bought
start turning.
That's where I start thinking of new things. Like I bought like that mouth dye. I think I sent you that too. This like blue mouth dye. And it's like, these are all safe for you. It can create completely new ideas and new frontiers. Cause a lot of times I have these ideas of like really intense things, but I'm like, I don't know how to do this safely because I am one of those people who will do anything for the look, and I realize sometimes like I need to like pull myself back because it is like some of the things I do are dangerous, and I don't advertise them online because I can't. But there really are a lot of avenues for like cool new stuff you can go out there. So like I just recommend, even if you're not in like New York or a place where it has those like professional stores, just go on the websites of like, again, like Alcone, Manhattan Wardrobe Supply. I'm trying to think of like other big ones, but
in Canada we have I think we have Backstage Cosmetics.
Yes.
We have like a Malabar's. I'm not sure if they're still there on Queen Street. Yeah, Canada, we do have some options as well. We have like the Cryolons, the Ben Nyes, the Mayrons, like,
and go through the entire like kind of product spread, and you'll find things that you're like, what is this? Like, I'm actually thinking right now, like this is separate to that, but like the Unseen Beauty. Have you tried like those?
Yes.
Like I'm wearing their eyeliner right now, and I think it's like kind of coming through where it's a little bit lighter. But like every time a new one of their products come out, I'm like, this is so cool. Like
how?
Genuinely, like just new technologies, and that's like when I get super inspired because like with Isamaya, I feel like a lot of it is she's like world building right now and creating like these aesthetics, whereas like the products themselves are high quality but not like it's not like a special effects kind of foundation brand, but like the Unseen Beauty kind of takes that and is pushing like genuinely like new, literally never been done before products. And I always like every time they have a new launch, I'm just like, I cannot believe like what they've come up with, and the science is so interesting.
Yeah, they're definitely like pushing like the technology boundary of makeup, which is so like it's one thing to say, hey, I'm gonna make a black eyeliner, but when a camera light flashes on it, it's gonna look like TV static. You're like, okay, have fun. And they actually do it. And their product photos that you see online is actually what it looks like. There's no BS there. It genuinely works, which I think is it's incredible. It really is.
And like I tried, they had a color changing eye paint that reacted to your
Oh,
body's heat.
have you tried that
But
one yet?
yes, it is so cool. I don't know if it's available anymore. I think because they were like doing product testing of it, but
Hmm.
it's like it looks like peacock, and it's sometimes like I will say it's like not as practical for like everyday usage because like to get it to really show like it's a bit more faint, but like if you put like a hair dryer to it it's like blue, and then if you turn it to cool setting it's green. It's like it really does work. But like even with like the activated eye paint, sometimes I think to myself, I'm like, do I need to use this today? Like I'm not gonna be taking photos. But then the product, like I'm so happy they released new colors because like this genuinely is like a really good red eye paint. Like
Mm,
even if I'm not doing, it's like a little bonus that if I take a flash photo, like it's gonna show up with like these speckles.
yeah.
And so like that's where I'm really excited about beauty right now. Like I think we are kind of entering like a new era where we're kind of pushing for just newness and reinvigorate.
Yeah.
And I think like where I kind of want to go with that next is this is kind of like, I want it to be a reoccurring question for everybody, but like, what do you kind of define beauty as, or where do you feel the most beautiful? What do you find beautiful? Like it can be like it can be as abstract as you want it to be.
Ooh, okay. I've been asked this question a couple times and my answer always changes, but what I
And that's the exactly what is amazing about beauty. It's
right?
completely abstract.
I I like had like a sit down with myself and actually thought about it. I was like, what does beauty mean to me? And
Mm-hmm.
for me, it means being comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm not aiming for the hottest girl in the world. I'm not aiming for certain bars in order to make myself like tens. Like I'm not going for that. I just
Mm-hmm.
want to feel comfortable, and that's what makes me feel the most beautiful. People always for people who like never met me before or they see me on the screen for the first time, they think I look like this because I'm crying for help. I'm an attention seeker. I
Yep.
want to be different, right? I say with my full chest, and this is not me just like putting on an act because I'm truly not. I feel like I was always meant to look like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take a look at. Have you heard of the Black Alien Project?
Mm-hmm.
Look what they're doing. All right, to get their sense of normalcy.
Mm-hmm.
It's the exact same thing with me. I've been bald for 9 years. I don't think I'll ever grow out my hair because I feel the most normal like this. I'm covered in symmetrical tattoos because it just feels like my skin. And that's how I truly feel beautiful, right? When I lived in my suburban, like Caucasian predominant neighborhood, I was like, the longer my hair is, the more beautiful I am. If I, do what Taylor Swift is doing, I'm like, girly pop, you don't even look like that. Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna, what's the point of trying so hard when it's not gonna work out the way you want it to? So I when I started like getting all this done, I started feeling more like myself.
Mm-hmm. And
And
it's
that's,
like
that's it.
not, I think you can kind of like boil that down to like the individuality aspect of like, we will never look like somebody else. And the most powerful thing, like I can say for anybody, is once you find that like spark, that look, or that feeling,
Hmm.
that's when you can kind of soar. And that doesn't mean also that your beauty is going to be as extreme as ours is. I mean, even like one of my great friends, Hannah, she wears consistently like a graphic liner and she's been doing it for years. And that's just like her thing. She loves it. She looks amazing in it. And she stays with it, not because she's scared to try anything new. She knows she'll build on it, she'll take it away. Like, that's just what makes her tick. And
Yeah.
I think when you find that, it is so empowering because you don't feel like you're searching anymore. It's kind of like you're grounded, and that's when you can start moving and start kind of
Hmm.
exploring other parts of the world when you are like sound in yourself. And I'm like, for anybody who's even listening that's not kind of like on that same page, or who may think like this is an attention thing, it's like, really, I think also, we don't, though we are in the internet and everything, when I'm in public, I really don't want attention. Even if I am in something crazy, that's just like what I felt like that day. And like there are times when I'm like, oh, like now I have to go out in public and like have to deal with that. Like I was painted green a couple days ago and I had to go pick up a wire in Soho, and legitimately, like,
Just doing all the side quests.
I know, I was like annoyed because I kept getting like stopped by people, and like even it was nice, a lot of it was like people wanting to take my picture or whatever, but I was just like, I just want to go get a wire. I'm like, I don't want to have to take all this off. Like I like this look too.
Right.
And so, though you can disagree with us all you want and think we are doing it for attention, really, I feel like once you are in that mindset, it's like, it is just integral. Like my parents for a while thought I was like craving attention. I wanted attention because of the way I looked. I'm just like, I wish this was not like the avenue of how I felt the most comfortable, but it just is. And hopefully, like in more time, people are able to kind of do the same for themselves. And I hope like we can both, through our content, whatever, keep pushing that forward.
Yeah, as my father always says, at the end of the day, all you have is yourself. So you might as well do right by you. And
Exactly.
I feel like we're the definition of doing right by ourselves, because people will come and go. You know, I used to do a lot of things for the validation of and attention of other people. And they're not around me now. So I wasted all that time pandering.
Just being untrue. Yeah. And like, I kind of want to, this was one question that I wanted to ask from the beginning, because this kind of relates to personal styles. Like, I don't want to go into completely the topic of trends, because I always find that a bit of like a kind of pretentious topic of people either being like, I feel usually the answer is always like, I don't like trends or whatever. But especially with like if you have like a signature technique that's gone viral, like that lipstick, like I keep going back to the lipstick, like that one spurred a lot of like press attention, social media attention, people recreating. Do you ever feel like territorial over these techniques, or do you get like excited, like, oh my gosh, like people are trying this out?
Going back to your point on trends, I personally kind of like them because it gives people a chance and an opportunity to try something new. Right? When it comes to like the cold girl trend, I was like, oh, I've never put blush on like the very bottom of my nose before. Let me try that.
Yeah.
Was not a look for me personally, but I tried. And that's
what I did. Yeah.
When it comes to my, like the techniques that I use, because I'm not going to say that I've come up with this stuff. Like paper transfer.
Popularize. That's like a great way of putting it. You put more attention to it.
Yeah. In my perspective, coming from the fact that I truly believe that there's not a lot of ideas that are original anymore, including a lot of things that I've done. Like, we've done a wax paper transfer before. We've done the like acrylic paint pours. Like I just did it with makeup. Like with those techniques in mind, when people try it, coming from the basis that, you know, this thought, although I've done it with makeup, wasn't originally mine. I don't care. No idea is original. If people try it, that, if anything, makes me more excited.
Yeah, because that may lead to another idea that they have. My one thing I grapple with is like, I just think as long as the credit's there, I feel like that's where it is important. Because like, let's say like, going back to the art world, like if I'm trying to think of like a good example of this, but like, again, no really ideas originally. There have been a lot of like really progressive artists who've done abstract works, and you may think like they all look the same or whatever, but I think having like giving credit to where some of the origins, for where you recognize the origins to be, I feel like that's the most like ethical way of going about it. Of course, like at some point with trends, it kind of gets lost. But I think as long as we try our best to kind of give credit where credit is due, like that's like my one, not rule, but I always want to make sure if I ever even like if somebody's idea spurs another idea of me being like, oh, I was like inspired by this, and giving like
Little flowers.
that credit. Yeah, because again, we are all a community and we all have different minds. We can all pave our own way. And I think like with your idea about trends, it is great that trends give you something to follow and rebel against. And I feel like you can, with the trend, you can realize maybe that is for you and you keep doing it past the trend. And then I think it's just the intention that we have. Like as long I feel as you're not doing the trend to get the validation from other people that you're following, then it's completely like it is a healthy thing. And that's just not even just healthy, but that's just how I feel like humans work. So like just make sure if you're following a trend or something, just think like, why? Like you can be following a trend, but doing it for yourself because you found it cool. And I think like that like gets us to a great point of like where we are with society of just like, I think at the end of the day, like coming back into ourselves and understanding like why we're functioning the way we're doing is like the best and healthiest way of like even just being happy and feeling beautiful at the end of the day.
And wanted to, for the record, for the trends thing, I personally don't mind I like the trends that involve makeup looks, right? Different makeup looks. When it comes to product, you've seen those product trends, right? Being like, this lipstick will change your life.
Yeah.
Right? Just for the stitches, for the views, for that, like that kind of trend. I personally don't really co-sign. Because there's a word for it when people like panic buy or like they just like impulse shop.
Yeah, impulse buy.
Yeah, just impulse buy something because everyone else is like jumping on this whole trend. Like for me, I think a good example is I got sucked into it and I hate myself for it. The black cherry or like that Revlon raisin rum.
Yeah. Rum raisin lipstick.
Yeah. Like the Clinique black cherry. I knew it was going to look god awful on me. I still bought it and I gave it to my mom because it looks much better on her. But I was like, why did I buy this when I know purples don't look good on me? And that's
again going with intention, like intention with buying, and being on a social space, like there are undisclosed ads. Like we've been through a million controversies with it. Like even like with like you cannot, even us, I would love to be like, you can trust me 100% or whatever, but at the end of the day, like we are people. Like not our opinion of something does not mean you are going to have the same opinion. So you have to just think to yourself, will this work for me? Like obviously I try my best to not be biased, but again, we are humans. Like if a brand I love sends me something, I am not going to lie, but I do try my best to show it in the best light or figure it out. I don't want to just like swatch it and be like, oh, this is ugly, let me not put it on. I want to figure it out. And I guess that can be biased. It cannot. It all just is up to interpretation of how you feel. But I love like just having that transparency of just think for yourself. Could this work for you? Would this work for you?
Yeah, everything we do is based on personal preference, right? We have the formulations we enjoy. We have the eyeshadows we gravitate to, right? Where, yeah, like like my skin tone, like compared to yours, where like I'm like a lot warmer. Like lipsticks that you like probably are like not my cup of tea, and vice versa.
Yeah,
right. So,
and that's how it is. And I feel like there are so many different skin tones, so many different undertones. And I feel like once you understand what works for you, you don't have to deviate. Like it is fun to experiment, but like with me, I am not in a red lip today, but like most days I am in a red lip. I just like how that looks. I don't wear warm tone nudes. I very rarely even wear a neutral nude. I like cools. I have very specific things that I know I like.
Do you do like
I put the other things on. What?
Did you like taupes ever? Sorry to interrupt.
For eyeshadow. Like I love like my gray tones, like that's where I'm comfortable in. And I feel like I just knew like that's for me.
I love that.
And again, that just goes back to experimenting and figuring out what you like. And
Yeah.
I think now, like, unless you have anything else you want to say about this, I want to get into a couple rapid fire questions and
Oh yeah.
then
Oh
we're
my goodness, 1 hour
I
39.
know, guys, you go are in for a treat. We weren't
This
even
is
planning going this long.
no, I genuinely was so nervous going into this, thinking I'm like, I feel like I'm just gonna have like there's gonna be like 5 minutes of silence when it comes to me, and you're just gonna be struggling, like pulling teeth. But no, this
I
has been
know.
so
I'm
lovely.
guys, and this is Insider Tea. This is the first interview for the podcast. I don't know when this one comes out in it, but this is the first
I'm the
one I'm
doorbuster,
recording. Yeah.
doorbuster.
Like I literally before I was like shaking. I was like, "Oh my god, like I don't know like how I'm going to like keep it going because I don't want to uh, again, like I love just like the human nature aspect of it. I want to make sure everything flows well. I want to make sure
Mhm.
everybody's comfortable. I don't want it to be like pulling teeth, like I said, to get answers out. I want everyone to be comfortable and I want to get real answers.
Right.
Like again, that's with Subversive Beauty, that's like the biggest mission. Like we're trying to get to the idea of what beauty means to as many people as we can ask. And like that's why I always like May I've been watching forever and I am so blessed that she decided to join us. And so I want to get into like our little like bonus round, I guess, of just like quick
Yes.
things. I want to ask everybody these.
Okay. Is it like a
So,
one-word answer or like?
no. No,
Okay.
just like quick questions. So like do you have like a what's your favorite makeup look you've done?
As of recent, I'm pretty sure, and I'm not saying it because I got the views for it. That's not the case at all. I was just really happy that it worked out. The inverted blue makeup look.
That one was those are one of those things where it's like it was like a such a cool idea and such a feat to do. I
And
could
it actually worked out.
never. Yeah, it was that I have to say that probably was one of my favorites too.
Thank you.
And what make or I guess I asked this one earlier, what makeup brands excite you the most, but you can just repeat them again.
Yeah. Again, looking around, this is not in any particular order. We got Blend Bunny, Mayron, if we want to go theatrical makeup,
Yep.
high quality. I still need to try Viseart, so I'm going to write a note for that. Pat McGrath, Claro Psych, and then what about for base? What do I like for House Labs for base?
Yes. That
Mm,
I the foundation didn't work for me
the
just because I'm super
concealer.
oily. It was
Oh,
I love the
I'm really
concealer.
dry.
Yeah, I like the pat for my oily girls. If you have been wanting to try the House Labs one because you like how the finish looks on them, try the Pat McGrath one has been like a really big go-to of mine. Really light. It's kind of like the face and body MAC texture, which I don't
Mm.
know. I think they're discontinuing MAC face and body.
They
And I'm getting
reformulated it. It's not like a Studio Radiance one or
no,
whatever.
I think they're discontinuing Studio Radiance. It's like all 30% off on the website right now. So like I need to get in contact with like some of the Mac people because I need to know because that is probably I've done so many videos on it. That's like always my number one I go to. The
Hmm.
Mac Face and Body Foundation.
So good. I
It's
love the
like that
smell
one.
of it.
Me too. Okay, do you feel the same way about the Krylon TV paint sticks? I love
I
oh, do you not
haven't
use
tried them.
net
I
like never.
know. I know. I
Oh
want to
my
get the white. It's just like so Krylon here, we don't have it in stores. It's only e-commerce. And
oh
this
yeah.
and the swatch, have you seen the swatches, like the little color
Yes.
boxes? I'm like,
They don't make sense at
this
all.
is insane.
There's so many and it like because I've done so many videos on Krylon, like I love that paint stick, and I tell them, I'm like, guys, like genuinely, either you're gonna have to buy it from a place that lets you return used makeup, and you're gonna have to buy a lot of shades, or you're just gonna have to wait till you get in store. The only shade I ever bought online was 070, which this is also a pro tip for anybody looking to buy a white base. 070 by Krylon is pure white. It is a white color. TV white is meant for like camera work. So there's more of, and it's more like a skin tone white. There's a little bit of pink in there.
Oh, so is it more like
So
brightening?
yeah. So I
Mm.
actually use that for my highlights because I'm pale, but I always like I remember going to that store and like not really understanding if the TV white was the white one, but 070 is white by Krylon.
I'm writing this down.
No, it's because it's kind of essential because they don't really like that's the one thing, like if I would ever do a makeup line and have it be like that pro focus, I want it to still be accessible to consumers because
their swatches are terrible.
Yeah, it's just so confusing. Like even in store, the undertones are weird.
Yeah.
And they're really full coverage, so you kind of have to play around with it with
like
shade matching
it a little bit.
But once you do like those products like that, if you're somebody who travels a lot but you don't want to carry like concealer, foundation, all that, it's so good just for like you can spot conceal with it. You can do like tap some on, blend it in with a brush, and it's like super skin like.
Do you feel it on your face though? Is it like super thick?
It's okay. It's like one of those things where it's kind of like what you make of it. I feel like
so
if you are like a drag queen where you are like circling it in, it is heavy. But like what I do is I kind of just like take a circle on the nose, and then just like kind of blend it in with either. I prefer a brush with those kind of like thicker, like creamier foundations, and like just work it in. But it gives you like the shine of skin, even for how like full coverage. It is a grease paint, or no, I don't. Are they? I don't know if they're a grease paint, if like they're technically considered a grease paint,
right?
But they are super skin like. Like that's this type of stuff they would use for like Marilyn Monroe's on film. So it is like it is meant to be skin length, even though it is full coverage. So I think that like even just for anybody, like I remember this is kind of when I was I shop at these makeup stores, these professional makeup stores a lot, and one day they were really busy, and I'm like friendly with people there, and I was like, if you guys need any help, just like let me know. And so I'm like walking around like shopping, and I see this lady, and she like asked me, because I'm always like kind of dressed in black, and she asked me like if I was working there, and I started shade matching her to the Krylon TV paint sticks. And when I tell you, it was so hard because like the undertones are just a little strange, but she loved the foundation, so I was like, she was older too, like so it does work for a lot of different textures. Like my mom, I need to get her one. But I want to. Oh, okay. So this again goes back to art. What is one artist, like fine artist, everyone should know?
Are we talking about like the greats? Or are we talking about like makeup artists, like
greats, like painters, like outside of makeup? Because I think it's fun to get that.
This is my personal favorite. There's a couple. When I read this question, I'm like, this is a fantastic, like, it got my mind going.
It's okay if it's more than one, don't worry.
Bridget Riley, fantastic optical illusions.
Yeah,
large scale works. Actually, like one of my first tattoos is like an ode to her. From obviously Basquiat, and then Francis Bacon. He has nothing to do with my personal taste in makeup. However, there's something about Francis Bacon's like triptychs that move me. Use of color, tone, the way he portrays human beings.
Like that mist of like everything is kind of like floating away or like disintegrating. Yes. And I'm so happy you brought that up, because that's actually the documentary that he has, a brush of violence or something like that. It's on YouTube. That's what got me into art history. I was always interested, but that was a documentary, and I was like became obsessed. And so I love Francis Bacon. Like I have a couple postcards on my wall of him right now. He needs to
exhibit in Toronto. I don't think is there showcases in New York of his work?
I mean, like we don't have any full shows right now, but I know at MoMA they have a little room of him. And like I'm like from around DC, and like DC has a couple individual works by him, but I know the VA in London a while ago had like a huge retrospective. So I don't know if it's still there, but my aunt got to go see it, and I'm just hoping one day I get to see a full one. But Oh my God. Those answers I feel like are also a good kind of showcase of the makeup too. Like Basquiat has kind of like that sketchy style,
Yeah.
then like the optical illusions always with like you shade so well. And then
Thank
Francis Bacon just like that kind of like wild card energy. And then do you have any advice for anyone starting off in creative makeup of that more abstract style?
Don't don't niche yourself down too hard.
Okay.
If I found myself doing this when I first started out, like graphic liner, right? When that was a trend back in the day, I only did that look. And
Mm-hmm.
then once I realized, and then once I got bored of it, I didn't know what else to do because that's all I've done, right? I didn't know what else would make me happy. So try everything once. If it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't, you can wash it off at the end of the day.
My favorite.
Document everything. Make sure you look into yourself and not other people, right? Where other people might be doing incredible looks as well, but that might not be like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it might
Like
not be, it just might not be your look. And I
that.
think like, and a great analogy to this is like the way I do my blush. I used to always do it like where you were kind of supposed to, where everyone is always like, put it up here to
Yeah.
lift your face. And then I realized I was like, that doesn't look good. Or I mean, it looked fine on me, but it was just not what I wanted my face to look like.
Hmm.
Because I have a very slender face and very hollow. I was like, I kind of wanted that like Rococo cherub look. So like when I
Ooh.
put it here and like, this is just shade and light, but I focused right. Like there was like that trend for a while
Yeah.
where people were like doing contouring in like in this area.
Yeah.
But
Like that
that's what
little
I do with my
hollow.
blush. Like I put the darkest shade here. So it creates like actually still a natural contour without like a what's it called? Without doing like a gray tone shade.
Hmm.
Because contour is like it's like a game of shade and light, and that doesn't always have to be with a cool tone shade, even though historically that is what like a contour is. Like that's the difference between like a bronzer.
Yeah.
But you can do that with anything, and just by knowing how you want your face to look, or how you look best, or how you feel best, I should say, you're
Hmm.
kind of that's how you can get to the point where like now we do feel pretty um much like ourselves because we've done like the thinking for so long on it.
No,
And
I agree.
and this is going to be the final question and then we're going to sign off. I want you to define your aesthetic in 3 words.
Aesthetic. Oh, I would say experimental,
Mm-hmm.
wacky,
Love.
and and emotional.
I think especially with like more like our more abstract works, I feel like that emotion, like a lot of people forget. Like this is genuinely like art for us. Like this is a release.
Yes.
And I'm trying to think if we have any loose ends. Do you have any more things you want to say to the viewers, where they can find you, things you have coming up? I don't know, anything?
Ooh, the plugs. Okay, well, my name is Mei Pang. You can find me at Meicrosoft. So that's Meicrosoft. Every day Bill Gates doesn't send me a cease and desist is a great day.
And of course, everything will be linked below. Like May is genuinely like you can for our visual watchers and everything. Like the mug is stamped. Like the tattoos are amazing. Like really, this was such a pleasure of mine to have you. And as somebody who's obsessively watched beauty content for so many years, like you have always been genuinely like one of like my biggest influences, and I'm so happy to have you as my first recording guest. And with that, I bid everyone a what? Wait, I'm so dead.
I can't believe. Oh, so I think this is connected to my laptop. So if I do that, sometimes bubbles will Yeah.
I'm dead. That's like literally the perfect way to end that. That's a little treat for everybody. And I thank you so much for being here. And I cannot wait to see what else you have in store.
I'll talk to you
Thank
soon.
you for, I don't even know what I'm going to say. Thank you for being here. And I will see y'all later.